Broadcasting live from the Cephalid Coliseum on the plain of Dominaria, it's TapTapConcede.
Hey,
Woo.
we're here.
Yeah, and I'm Cameron.
And I'm Alex.
We are here to talk to you about the Magic cards.
Magical cards. It is a game of wizards.
A game of inches, Alex.
Inches of wizards.
It's true.
That's true.
But first, we must crack a pack.
We have so many packs to crack from.
We do. Where's the die?
It's right over there. Way over there. Beyond our reach. Where we...
Paul.
Where Paul is going to get it for us.
Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Oh, we're so organized. There we go.
Thank you, Paul. Based Paul.
Baseball.
We roll a 9.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a Mirrodin Besiege Mirren faction pack.
Very exciting.
From
Mike, or
Mike.
Lore Scholar.
Lore Scholar from PAX East.
PAX
Well,
East.
thanks. We're going to rip this, and we're probably going to get some Mirren.
Yeah. What are we looking for here? Hero of Bladehold?
Hero of Oxid Ridge.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. So these were handed out. Was it just the pre-release?
Yeah, just the pre-release.
That's yeah, because they had the whole like Mirrodin versus Phyrexia thing going on. They had like seeded packs that had more.
Yeah, this was one of their first efforts to or attempts at the thematic pre-releases.
Mm-hmm. So first up, we got Gust Skimmer. Mm-hmm. 2-1 for 2.
Yep.
You can jump it for a blue.
Yep. It has an integrated. Was flight or jump? The enchantment.
Jump was like gives it flying till end of turn, and then jump flying. Is it just flying?
I guess so. Flight.
Flight.
Yeah.
So like one blue enchantment creature is flying.
Yeah.
So
card redundancy.
It seems all right.
Yeah.
You know, just jump it.
It gets you. It turns on Metalcraft eventually.
Yeah, goes into blue-white skies. Mm-hmm. Blister Sticks Shaman is up next. This seems. I mean, I have no idea how good this is. It seems all right.
For 2 and a red, you get a 2/1, which is a bit below curve. But
Goblin Shaman.
What are we getting for our money here? When Blister Stick Shaman enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player.
I mean, it can hit players. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. The Phyrexian creatures. The relevant Phyrexian creatures were generally low power and toughness.
Just shoot it. I mean, it's like a really bad Flame Tongue Kavu, but I'll take it. Right?
Yeah, if it winds up killing their blighted agent, then maybe it's worth it.
Who doesn't like Mirror?
I don't.
Oh,
wait, no, okay. I do. No, that didn't come out right. I love Mirror. They're cute.
Master's Call, 2 and a white, instant. Put 2 1/1 colorless Mirror artifact creature tokens onto the battlefield.
Aw.
Nice and quick.
Look at the little mirror.
This is 2/3 of the way to Metalcraft, this card.
Yeah.
Just boosh. Just like turn it on by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Haha.
Instant speed tokens, always good.
Yeah.
Always good.
Always good. Never not good.
Never not good. Copper Carapace.
Oh, yeah.
A 1 mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and can't block. Equip 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's like not an exciting equipment, but it's cheap. Again, like gets you Metalcraft pretty easily for 1 mana.
Ironically, I think I saw most of this saw a lot of play in the Infect deck.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Well,
like,
I mean, anything to...
This turn 1, Blighted Agent turn 2, Equip turn 3.
Yeesh. Fangren Marauder.
Fangren Marauder, for 5 and a green, you get a 5/5 beast. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may gain 5 life.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you crash this into their mirror tokens, and then you're just like, haha, I gained 5 life.
Yeah. However, life gain wasn't really super relevant against Infect.
Yeah. What a weird mechanic. I mean, luckily we won't see any of those cards in this pack, but we will see a Hexplate Golem.
Yeah.
It's a 5/7 for 7.
Okay. That seems about right.
Look, it's eating all the tiles.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Man, this guy's landlord must be really pissed.
Who's saying he hasn't eaten them already?
Yeah.
Hey, Metalcraft finally showed up.
Yeah,
we got
Ardent
an Ardent
Recruit.
Recruit.
I remember people trying to make this guy good.
Yeah.
I think he was fine in the Metalcraft deck if you had the critical mass. For 1 white mana, you get a 1/1 human soldier, but with Metalcraft, Ardent Recruit gets +2/+2 as long as you gain 3 or more artifacts.
This guy really wants to be like a Curd Ape or...
Wild Mikado?
Yeah, that kind of card, but it's like a lot harder to turn on.
Yeah, we would see something similar to this in Return to Ravnica block with the Boros Recruit, I would think, who was a 1 mana 1/1 with Battalion for +2/+2.
Fair. Oh, this is awkward. This is supremely awkward in this set.
Crush. Destroy target non-creature artifact.
For a red.
Yep.
Non-creature being pretty relevant here.
Yeah.
This card, well, it's not Smelt. It's not Shatter.
No.
It's just kind of a dirtle.
Yeah.
Well, what's he crushing there anyway?
It's squirting something.
Gross.
Yeah, nasty. Put it on our popping.
Ew. Please never go to art popping. Turn the Tide.
1 and a blue. Creatures your opponent control get -2/-0 until end of turn.
It's Blue Fog!
Yeah, which can be relevant, again, with a lot of the low power, low toughness infect creatures.
Yeah.
If your opponent is crashing in with a bunch of, like...
Well, then your blocks are more profitable, right?
Yeah, and with their low power, or tendency towards lower power, then yeah, this can actually do a lot of work.
Fair.
Also, it has a great flavor text.
It's cool. Let their mindless armies come and face the might of genius. All right.
Leonin Skyhunter. I remember this card getting spoiled and people being like, oh, sweet. 2/2 for white, Cat Knight, it flies.
Yeah. Seems
That's
pretty good.
A very, very aggressive card.
Yeah, it's cheap. It's got evasion. Gets in.
Yeah, I like it.
You give it the Carapace and you're just like crashing.
Yeah,
all day.
Give me a deck of them. I'm in.
Mechanics that I like.
Goblin War Driver.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
For red, you get a 2/2 Goblin Warrior with Battle Cry. Whenever this reads, whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn.
Yeah, so this was a mechanic that they sort of prototyped on earlier, like way earlier cards, like Goblin Generals like that, where it pumps your team when it attacks, but like doesn't give them any sort of like passive increase in power or toughness. It's also a very intuitive mechanic. Really good with tokens. You know, my beef with this guy is that there was a white equivalent of this. There was 1 and a white for the same creature, but it was a 3/1.
Right.
I kind of felt those should be reversed.
Okay.
Right? That the white one should have had more toughness, but that's just me. It's probably like red's aggressive enough.
Yeah.
Without having a 3/1 that lords your team.
Like a couple of these guys on the battlefield, or a couple of Battlecry creatures on the battlefield could get out of control very quickly. Also, I really like the Mirren Goblins. They remind me of Fezgig from Dark Crystal.
Oh,
where their entire
so
head
right.
hinges.
Yeah, and just like
Yeah.
Deep cuts.
I think they're great. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. People were really excited about you, and then you never ended up getting played.
Well, I mean, like there was that. Okay, we should talk about the card.
Yeah,
actually,
what it is.
Treasure Mage. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 human wizard. When Treasure Mage enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost 6 or greater. Reveal that card and put it into your hand. If you do, shuffle your library. I brewed up a standard deck that was based around this guy. And the idea was that like it played Grand Architect and Treasure Mage and other blue cards.
Yeah.
But it got Sphere of the Suns and then hard cast Blightsteel Colossus.
Oh, okay.
On like turn 4.
That's pretty exciting.
And a very similar deck actually wound up performing reasonably well in this environment. It just got Worm Coil Engine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which
this guy,
is better. But
yeah,
I mean, like, I thought my version was rad.
Yeah, this card, a obvious reference to Trinket Mage from original Mirrodin, which would find a 1-drop or less.
Yeah.
This one's like 6-drop or greater, so it's weirdly not quite as useful in a lot of contexts, but as you say, it finds Worm Coil and Blightsteel and lots of other huge creatures.
And if you have Grand Architect, you can then tap these guys.
Ooh.
Right? Like, presumably you've got a 1-drop as well.
How exciting.
Very.
Clang.
Piston Sledge, 3 mana equipment. When Piston Sledge enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control.
That's pretty good, actually.
Equipped creature gets +3/+1.
Also pretty good.
This is basically just like, so far I'm getting better grafted war gear out of this.
Oh, wait.
Equip, sacrifice an artifact.
Awkward. Well, still, I mean, the Infect deck wants this. It's like, it's kind of, you know what it's like a creature enchantment that you might eventually get to equip a second time.
Yeah.
Like +3/+1 is pretty aggressive.
It is.
So, but yeah, I mean, I would prefer grafted war gear, but you know, we don't always get what we want.
We rarely get what we want.
That's true.
Says the man who plays Magic cards for a living. Our rare Shimmer Mirror. 3 mana for a 2/2 artifact creature, Mirror. Flash. You may cast artifact cards as though they had flash.
Yikes. So
Neat.
this one, I think this one shows up in like Commander Academy style decks because they're just like flashing everything in.
Yeah.
Flavor text is really good.
It evades Phyrexians by hiding in the spaces between seconds.
There's spaces there?
Tight.
Nice. And we got a Plains and a Poison counter.
Ooh, Phyrexian bucks.
Yep, Phyrexian dollars. You collect 10 of these and you win.
Yeah.
Not having to play the next
I actually really liked. Oh no, this is not the. It got the other land, but the
Boop. Oh well.
the I really liked the corrupted Phyrexian Mirren lands. I thought they looked cool.
Yeah.
Because they all fit into the
panoramas.
The panoramas, which I thought looked better than the Kamigawa ones.
I always like when they do like weird stuff with the lands, like the panoramas, and like I think it was in Lorwyn they did the diptychs.
Yeah, the enemy colored and allied colored diptychs.
Yeah, they had pairs of 2 lands that would form a small sort of panorama in enemy pairings, like you said. So like red, white, white, black, blue, green.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, well, like I remember the red blue one was what were the donkey people on Lorwyn?
Donkey people.
I want to say
no idea.
Noggles or
Noggles.
Boggarts.
Boggles?
Something like that.
Noggles, boggles.
But it was one of their
boggarts.
villages. It was really cute.
That is cute. So what's your first pick here?
Oh, I'd have to go with Shimmer Mirror. I think it's just like, I mean, it's not the best card in the pack. The best card in the pack is probably War Driver
Or
Sky Hunter.
Yeah. The problem is that like both those cards put you really hard into one color or the other.
Exactly. It's very but I think, I mean, you would never draft with this pack, right?
It was just for sealed?
This was just for sealed.
Yeah.
So I think, like, if you open this in sealed, you're like, Goblin War Driver, Leon and Sky Hunter.
I'm building Borosacro.
Yeah, Piston Sledge.
Yeah.
Ardent Recruit. Even Carapace,
Actually,
Lististic Sham. Like, this
Okay, yeah.
this pack was good to you, right? Like, these two are excellent, right? Like, War Driver and Sky Hunter are excellent cards.
Well, like Wardrive is super sweet with your Master's Call.
Yeah.
And the Metalcraft turns on your Ardent Recruit, so.
Yeah, I think with this pack, in our sealed pool, we can feel pretty strong about our odds.
Dece.
Quite.
Well, from sealed onto constructed, we have.
So we are going to do another deck tech podcast about our Highlander decks.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Cam gets to spit first.
Do I? Okay. Well, this is very exciting. Paul, can we go to the overhead, please?
Yep. Don't mom spaghetti.
So the deck that I've been playing in Canadian Highlander, and playing is a loose term because I actually haven't been able to make it out terribly often. For those of you who aren't familiar with the format, Canadian Highlander is a 100-card singleton format with the vintage ban list and a separate points list that restricts certain strategies, I guess, or
like
card types.
Like power cards.
Yeah, power cards. Like
As
you find
determined by the council, who will assign points values to certain cards. So
yeah,
it means
you find the Power 9 on the points list. You find tutors on the points list, and you find fast mana on the points list.
Yeah. So it's basically like any card that would be banned in Vintage, probably you can play, but it has a points value assigned to it.
Yeah,
So
or is restricted in Vintage.
Yeah. The vintage restricted list you can play one of.
So it is a competitive head-to-head format, and generally you get to see the best of the best cards in Magic.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. It is 20 life. There's no commander, for those of you who heard 100 card singleton and assumed.
Yeah, there's also no like color restrictions or anything.
There are no build restrictions.
If you want to find out a lot more about it, go to CanadianHighlander.wordpress.com, and there's a blog with deck text, archetypes, in-depth explanations of the format and the points list, so you can check it out yourself.
I think it might be the most popular format at our local store, quite handily.
Probably.
And it's what all the local judges play.
Yeah, because it turns out, getting to play everything from the entire depth and breadth of Magic is appealing.
So this is my first real Highlander deck. And for my first deck, I wanted to build a Reanimator deck because it was a strategy I enjoyed, and I wanted to see what it looked like in Highlander. And as it turns out, it's actually quite a competitive deck, if played correctly. So we're going to start off with the build conceit that I had was that in most constructed formats, I like 8 ofs. Playing 4 of something is good. I prefer to play 8 of it.
Yeah.
Just for consistency. And I think that's especially relevant in a format like Highlander, where you only have access to one card. Or one
copy
of
each card, yeah.
So I wound up trying to play a lot of like very similar effects, because Reanimator straddles the line of both like combo, control.
Yeah, it's kind of both.
Yeah, where you are trying to put large, expensive creatures into your graveyard and then using relatively cheap spells to bring them from the graveyard into the battlefield.
Yeah, it's in some ways like a kind of a combo deck with a backup plan, where it's like if the reanimation doesn't pan out, you may actually just end up paying retail for it.
Exactly, but the problem in Highlander is that a lot of your fatties are 9 or 10 drops, and surviving long enough to pay retail for them against either vintage aggro or vintage combo or vintage
a deck
control
that's playing
lists,
30 lightning bolts.
yeah, may not always pan out for you. So we're going to start off with my actual payloads here, the meat and bread.
This is the stuff that kills your opponent.
Yeah. So I am playing Kozilek, the Great Distortion.
This is a brand new one that everybody was excited about for Reanimator.
And everyone was excited about it. I have been underwhelmed by him.
Really?
Yeah. Kozilek, the Great Distortion is a 12/12 legendary Eldrazi for 8 and 2 colorless mana. When you cast Kozilek, the Great Distortion, if you have fewer than 7 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference. So Kozilek draws you back up to 7 cards.
If you cast it.
Yes,
which
if
is
you
a shame.
cast it. He has Menace, or they have Menace, and the ability, discard a card with converted mana cost X, counter target spell with converted mana cost X.
See, this one's cool because it has a means of protecting itself.
It does. So what I found is that since you're essentially never casting this, you wind up generally getting it onto the battlefield with maybe 3 or 4 cards left in your hand. And in which case, I would almost always rather have Gristlebrand.
Whoo! Yep, that's the old classic Reanimator.
Yeah, classic Reanimator target. Well, I mean, classic in the last 5 years, I suppose.
Yeah,
Before that, you were reanimating things like...
Well, it was always either Sphinx of the Steel Wind or Inkwell Leviathan.
Yeah.
And then, like, in more recent memory, what else? There's, like...
well, hopefully we'll be going through the All-Star
Shield of
list.
Lemuria, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy was amazing because you reanimate him, and then they're like... You're like, draw 7 cards. They're like, blow it up. I was like, draw another 7 cards.
Yeah, just keep digging for your counter spells.
Or just more gas.
Yeah, or some kind of solution. Gristlebrand is extremely powerful.
He should be for 8 mana.
Yeah, 4 of which is black. But
you don't care what these spells cost.
Yeah, just take off the top right corner of the card. I don't care about it. So these cards are fill similar roles, and I'm going to talk a bit about. Like I said, I like having redundancy in my decks. So the next Reanimator target I have is Ashen Rider.
Oh boy.
From Theros. It is an Archon, a 5/5 flying Archon For 4 generic, 2 white, and 2 black mana. It has the ability, when Ashen Rider enters the battlefield or dies, exile target permanent.
Yeesh.
So it vindicates on the way in, vindicates on the way out.
It's super vindicated. That's just like gone forever.
Yeah. So it blows away Emrakul,
Yeah.
for example. It gets
Hits
rid
lands,
of... Yeah,
like-
it hits lands, especially things that single creature strategies find especially irritating in Highlander, like Maze of Ith.
Yeah.
Maze of Ith is something that scares the hell out of me with this deck because I
Yeah.
resolve one threat and try to kill it with you, or kill you with it.
Yeah.
And
They're
Maze
just
of Ith
like
wrecks my
untap-
day.
Yeah. Unless you have something that like generates additional advantage when you attack with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like maybe you could cut Kozilek for like Grave Titan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I am running Titan in this. I'm running Sun Titan as my budget reanimator target, or
good.
one of the ones that I could conceivably get to and pay retail for. For 4 white, you get a 6/6 giant with Vigilance. Whenever Sun Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, you may return target permanent or card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And the reason I like this, he is not the best reanimator target in the world, but he does hit a lot of stuff that I wind up having in my bin. And I think even if I resolve him and get back a fetch land, I feel pretty good about that.
Well, this
To
guy,
further ramp myself?
This guy actually gets back like Animate Dead, Reanimate.
Well, yeah,
So
I
it's
want to
just
talk
like
about
2
that
for 1, yeah.
in the future. But there are a lot of extremely relevant targets for Sun Titan in this deck. Even if it doesn't win the game, it definitely enables a lot of other strategies that I have. Other targets, Massacre Worm.
Uh-oh.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys.
It gives everything -2/-2 when it enters the battlefield. And whenever an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, that player loses 2 life.
This card just
Like, it wrecks
it's-
token strategies.
So, like-
a lot of aggro strategies just die to this
it
card.
infests your opponent when it comes into play. Brutal. Whenever like they lose 2 life for each creature it gets, and that second ability
Is
continues
not-
to be
yeah.
static.
Yeah,
so
it's
all your
not
removal.
contingent on... Yeah.
Oh, it's just this thing just rolls any
Yeah.
kind of aggro. It's just the Elster Howie special.
Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite.
Hey!
Another Innistrad New Phyrexia
There you go.
Reanimator staple when that deck was around. If you don't know what she does, she's a vigilant 4/7. Creatures you control get +2/+2, or other creatures you control get +2/+2. Creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. So this has a
Goodbye.
bit of redundancy with Massacre Worm if I'm dealing with a token strategy.
Well, they both sort of do the same thing, which is just like wrath your opponent. And this one
Yeah.
wraths and they stay wrathed.
Yeah.
So they play like an X2 and it just dies immediately.
Iona, Shield of Emeria,
That's
another
the classic.
Reanimator classic. A 7/7 angel with flying is Iona, Shield of Emeria enters the battlefield. Choose a color. Your opponents can't cast color. Can't cast colors of the chosen. Can't cast spells of the chosen color.
Got there.
Got there. A very compelling control, or not even control. This deals with a lot of. Man, you don't even need to think that hard with this
No,
card.
you don't, because you shut off like a third, half, or all of their deck.
Yeah.
Depending on what they're on. So it's like if they're white weenie or mono red or mono black or even like hoof or something, it's just like, good game.
Yep.
I don't
Bye-bye.
get to play Magic anymore.
Yep.
So,
And that's really the effect you want when you resolve one of your reanimator targets. You want the game to end. Blazing Archon,
another one.
yeah. So 6 and 3 white for a 5/6 Archon, flying. Creatures can't attack you.
Whoops. It's a one-sided mode. How about them apples?
Yep. And my final reanimator target is Sphinx of the Steel Wind. For 5 and white, blue, black, you get a 6/6 Sphinx with flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink, protection from red, protection from green.
This thing is so hard to put away because
Yeah,
think about this carefully. Right?
It dodges Go for the Throat. It
Yep.
dodges Doomblade.
Like a lot of other like mono black removals are like non-black and it has a black creature type. And then you're like, oh, shatter or naturalize. Nope. Doesn't work either.
Yep.
Just like you need like white removal to get rid of this.
Yeah, like dies to path, dies to swords. A
But,
lot of things do that.
A lot of the normal solutions that you could play against this are not super good. Like Rex Sage doesn't work on this. There's like a lot of good red shatter, like shatter style effects. Like nobody plays just actual shatter.
in
Highlander.
Well, you play things like Ingot Chewer or Rex Sage.
Or there's the red-green one that's like Destructive Revelry or something.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work on it.
Yeah. It's it is an excellent all-singing, all-dancing solution. So those are my Reanimator targets, and I should be playing 9 of them. Yes, 9 of them. And doing the math, in Highlander or 100-card singleton, what you really want to replicate, the 8 of is like 12 or 13 cards, which I am shy of here. This is really more like playing 6 of them. But that's okay, I think. I think that's okay. I generally don't have a lot of trouble finding a target, if not the exact target that I need. So the other major component of a Reanimator deck is the Reanimator spells themselves. So I've tried to go for a different suite here, and a lot of these match up with particularly well with certain targets. So I've got Karmic Guide. Hey. So this is itself a creature. It is a 5 mana 2/2 spirit with flying, protection from black, and echo. When Karmic Guide comes into play, choose target creature card in your graveyard and put that creature into play.
It's pretty sweet.
So this dodges negate, right?
Yeah, like it doesn't go down to, like, you can't spell pierce this.
Yeah.
It, I mean, it being a creature, sometimes, like, you can cast this through Thalia.
Yep.
It is 5 mana, but...
It is.
You know...
It is also a creature that it is also a Reanimator spell that can be reanimated with another Reanimator spell.
So you can get a 2-for-1.
Yeah. So... this is probably much more of a degenerate combo piece than it is a value combo.
Karmic Guide is one of the key components of Pattern Rector.
Yeah.
Which is, I hesitate to call it a Reanimator deck because it's not. It runs a very complicated loop that I can't really explain involving Protean Hulk, where you have, well, it's actually more complicated than that. All the deck wants to do is play Academy Rector and arrange for her to have an accident. By having a sack outlet, and you sack her, she searches for what the hell is it called? Pattern of Rebirth.
Yeah, Pattern of
Attaches
Rebirth.
that to another creature. You sack that creature, and then it finds Protean Hulk, puts Protean Hulk into play, and then you start sacking that over and over again, getting more and more triggers to find little pieces, and then you assemble a devastating engine that wipes out your opponent and is very hard to disrupt.
What do we call this locally again?
Hulk?
Or Sandra? I thought this
Sandra
was
Bullock.
Sandra Bullock, because it's always a bridesmaid.
I know.
It can never quite win a tournament. But it always is really close.
Yeah, Pattern Rector is an archetype that just earned the local nickname Sandra Bullock because it's so close to winning. And it's always a bridesmaid.
Yeah, always a bridesmaid.
What a stupid nickname.
I think it's wonderful.
It is pretty funny.
Other Reanimator spells. Body Double. Another creature.
I love this new art.
Yeah, this. I'm using the art from the Jace versus Vraska duel deck.
It looks sweet.
I honestly do like the Lorwyn art quite a lot, and I might prefer that to this one, but this is what I had. Body Double is a 0/0 shapeshifter for 5 mana. You may have Body Double enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature in a graveyard.
So this is kind of the same thing as Karmic Guide.
It's very similar. If I had a Revelark, Revelark could get Body Double, for example.
Yeah.
But I'm not running Revelark because I'm bad at this game.
It's probably not great in Reanimator, but this you just like play it and then it copies whatever the biggest creature in your bin is.
Yeah.
So it's a lot like these other spells.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some shenanigans with this card, and I don't remember what they are. But
there is a trick you can play with this card and Mirror Entity and Gifts Ungiven and Karmic Guide and Revelark.
All right.
So those are the 4 targets for Gifts Ungiven. And then you debuff your board, and you just keep looping things back into play. Classic, for which the archetype is named, Reanimate. 1 black, sorcery. Put target creature card from any graveyard into play under your control. Lose life equal to that creature's total casting cost.
This is the primo stuff. This is like the top end of it, because 1 black any graveyard.
Yep.
The life loss is pretty irrelevant because the mana cost is so low.
Like, ideally, turn 1 Entomb, turn 2 Reanimate, GG.
Yeah, pretty
right?
much.
That's living the dream in a singleton format, but can happen. Also, you can reanimate Karmic Guide to reanimate your Grizzlebrand.
So then you have 2 creatures.
Well, and it economizes on life a bit, you know, if you're super behind. Animate Dead.
Another classic.
Yeah.
Don't even bother. Like, the original text for this was confusing as it is, and then there's just this big wall. The TLDR of this card is it's an enchantment that yanks a creature out of your graveyard, and then it stays in play with -1/-0.
Yeah, and it becomes an aura. It's one of those cards that's extremely intuitive to grasp.
Yeah.
And requires a block of rules text that's about 100 words long.
Yeah, like it was one of those cards that was really simple when they first printed it in alpha. It's like, oh, you just get this creature, and then as the game evolved, they had to like really explicitly template it in a certain way so that it would work and not break the game.
Yeah.
So you have this paragraph.
Yeah, but like Sun Titan grabs Animate Dead.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a good one.
Yeah, and in a singleton format, I really like cards that synergize well with each other. And that fulfill multiple roles like that. So in some certain circumstances, Sun Titan can be a
This
reanimate
one
spell.
also hits any graveyard.
Yep. Exhume. Each player chooses a creature card in his or her graveyard and puts that creature into play for 1 and a black. Which is quite good when you're reanimating, say, Elishnorn, and they're reanimating...
Llanowar Elves?
Yeah, or Goblin Guide.
Yeah. Yeah. The trick with this card is to have a better creature in your bin than they do.
Something
or
like...
have anything. And
Massacre
they have
Worm.
Ooh. Yikes.
Right. Dance of the Dead. Another one that can get... that can be searched up with Sun Titan, or brought back with Sun Titan.
Yeah, this one's basically the same as Animate Dead. Instead of the creature getting -1/-0,
it gets +1/+1.
Yeah, but it stays tapped during your untap step.
And then you can pay mana to untap it. But I'm also running like Elishnorn and Sun Titan who are vigilant, as well as Sphinx of the Steel Wind. So having creatures that don't tap is fine with Dance of the Dead. Stitch Together.
Some ugly ass art.
Yeah, this is... Ooh, I don't like this card just for the art. For black, you get a sorcery. Return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Threshold, instead return that card from your graveyard to play.
Yeah, that's real cheap.
Yep.
That's a very low cost to reanimate something.
No downside, and getting 7 cards into my bin is not that difficult.
Every once in a while, you maybe just want to regrow something, but not often.
Yeah. Necromancy.
Also really, really good.
Yeah, 2 and a black. You can flash it in if you want, but then it goes away at the end of turn, and it is another reanimator effect.
Yeah, so like the 3 best ones are Reanimate, Animate Dead, and Necromancy. Necromancy is the same as Animate Dead. It doesn't have the -1/-0 penalty, but you can cast it with flash, and then it dies at the end of turn. But you can cast it with flash if you want to.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and sometimes your creature dying is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I mean, if you did this to like Wormcoil or something, you'd be pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, exactly. Recurring Nightmare.
Aha!
Another card that probably actually, ironically, doesn't want to be in this deck.
Yeah, it's weird because like it sounds like it would be good, but you need creatures to make this good.
Yeah.
And Reanimator
Generally
relies on
doesn't.
Yeah.
This Recurring Nightmare is one of the decks where if you have been playing the game for a certain amount of time, you actually just are like, no, Recurring Nightmare, no, right? Like you have nightmares about this card.
We should probably talk about what it does because it's insidious.
Yeah, it's 2 and a black for an enchantment. Sacrifice a creature, return Recurring Nightmare to its owner's hand.
That's the cost.
Yep. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this ability only at any time you could cast a sorcery. So it's circuitous, but you can sack a creature and reanimate something.
Yeah. Which sounds simple.
Yeah, but
and
leads
then
to...
then you realize how difficult it is to get rid of this, because if you activate this and they're like, response, try to blow it up, it's already in your hand.
Yeah, it's already in your hand.
It's tricky to get rid of this card because of
even
the way...
with the sorcery clause, this is harder to get rid of than you think.
Yeah. Well, like I don't know 100% how priority works, but I think this is one of those ones that's like,
Yeah.
you're never getting rid of this.
And then the final Reanimator card is Unburial Rites, which is from the first Reanimator deck I ever played.
This one's real good. Like this
yeah.
is like a shoe-in to be an all-time classic Reanimator card.
It gets in your bin and it discounts itself. So, you can reanimate something for 5 mana, which is not ideal, and then reanimate something else for 4 mana, or you can get this into your bin with Entomb.
Yeah, the big deal with this card was that you can cast it from your graveyard, where
Yeah.
you're throwing all this stuff you want to reanimate anyway.
Yeah.
So that one's
it feels
real good.
very good. So then I have a huge stack of enablers for this strategy. So, Entomb, 1 black mana instant. Search for a card, put it in your bin.
It's Demonic Tutor or Vampiric Tutor for your graveyard.
Yep. Wonderful card. If this is in your opening hand, you
like, keep
feel real good. Dark Petition from Magic Origins. 3 black, search your library for a card and then put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. If you have Spell Mastery, you also get to Dark Ritual.
This card went straight into Storm when it was printed.
Yeah.
For Highlander.
But
because
Dark Petition for Necromancy, Dark Petition for Recurring Nightmare, Dark Petition for any of my Reanimator spells,
basically,
essentially.
if you have Spell Mastery, it's like this card costs 2.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
like
This card basically reads, reanimate target card in your graveyard. Functionally, it's another Reanimator spell.
Yeah.
Buried Alive. Look through your library for 3 creature cards, put them in your bin. It's not as good as Entomb, but good. Nothing should be as good as Entomb.
Yeah, you get options this way. Loot spells.
Yeah, so those are my graveyard tutors. Then I have a suite of looter spells. Compulsive Research. Draw 3, discard 2 unless one is a land card. Ideas Unbound. Draw 3 cards, discard 3 cards at end of turn. Thirst for Knowledge. Draw 3 cards and then discard 2 cards from your hand unless you discard an artifact card from your hand.
I'm seeing a theme emerging here.
Careful Study. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Frantic Search. Draw 2 cards, then choose and discard 2 cards. Untap up to 3 land. These are all, just keep digging,
keep
looking
digging
for
and
answers.
keep chucking it into the place where you want it.
Yeah. Similar effects. Demir Charm, which I think secretly might be one of the better cards in the deck. The mode that I use it in most frequently is look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 2 in your graveyard, put 1 back on top. It's kind of like bad strategic planning, but it's instant speed.
Yeah.
It also has 2 other modes where you destroy target creature with power 2 or less. Could be extremely relevant to instant speed. And counter target sorcery spell, which is useful. Modal cards are really good in these formats.
Yeah, turns out having options.
Forbidden Alchemy. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard with flashback. I love this card.
Another one that casts from your bin. It's good.
Factor Fiction.
Hey, end of turn Factor Fiction, you lose.
Yep. This is one of the cards where if you play it correctly,
it gives your opponent a headache.
Yep. And similarly, Gifts Ungiven.
These are both.
These are both cards that I know you hate.
Well, sort of. The weird thing is generally speaking, cards that give your opponents a choice are not very good. They're very trappy cards, except these 2.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they really actually don't have a choice at all. Especially with Gifts Ungiven, because you can shenanigans with that.
Well, yeah, you can fail to find, but I never do that because it. No.
Fair.
I've done it once, and that was when I think I was at 4 life against a Gruul player, and I was just like, no, I actually just need Unburial Rites and Sphinx here, or I die.
Factor Fiction is a weird card. It is a very weird card that is just so difficult to play against. It's well, how do you play? It's because there's so many cards in Magic where it's just you play around this card by doing this or this or this. Factor Fiction is like, who knows?
Yep.
I don't know how to split these piles. Depends on the game state and the deck and your game state and everything. And just...
And ideally, the way the piles split doesn't super matter because you're... Like, you play Factor Fiction when you're looking for one card, right?
Usually.
And
Sometimes
you
get
take
bonus
that pile,
cards.
right?
It's like, do you want 3 okay cards or 2 great cards?
Yeah. It's
Or
like,
maybe
do you,
one amazing card
do you
or
want the
4
card
okay
that wins
cards?
you the game and an island? Or do you want 3 cards that don't win you the game?
It's like, Oh, Factor Fiction.
Yep. It's
Skill
lovely.
testing questions.
Oh, yeah.
Contestants must answer skill testing questions.
More like factor skill.
God damn it.
Skills ungiven. Then I have 4 cards, or I suppose 5 in certain readings, that all do very similar things. 3 of them actually do the exact same thing.
Loot it.
Owl Familiar, Vidalian Merchant, and Merfolk Traders all are 1/1s or 1/2s for 1 and a blue that enter the battlefield and loot.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, and you've got
That's
more
it.
looters.
Yeah, these cards draw a card and discard a card when they enter the battlefield. And they interact very nicely with Recurring Nightmare if you could find them. Ideally, I'd want like 5 more of these things.
Yeah, I don't know if 5 more exist, though.
They don't. Merfolk Looter. 1 in a blue, the old classic, tap, draw a card, then discard a card.
Oh, and then the sick upgrade.
Yep. Jace Vryn's Prodigy.
God
1 in a blue for an 0/2. Draw a card, then discard a card. If there are 5 or more cards in your graveyard, exile Jace Vryn's Prodigy, then return them to the battlefield, transformed.
What
under
were
his
they
owner's control.
thinking?
Remember when people are like, this is the worst Jace they've ever printed. This card is garbage.
Never
When are they going
again.
to ever... When are they going to print a good Jace again, Alex?
I just want to vomit when I think about this card. Well, especially when it
When it
was like,
flips into Jace Telepath Unbound,
what would you pay mana-wise for this spell? For a Planeswalker?
that flashes something back?
Oh, and debuffs creatures. The +1's all right, but that's the -3. That's like I think I just hate this card because it's always flashing back like recall.
Yeah,
Like,
flashing back
what?
Ancestral Recall is quite good. Flashing back, like, Time Walk is quite good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not doing things like that. I'm flashing back Exhume,
It's fair.
right? So, that also just wins the game usually. Mm-hmm. But, I feel pretty good about this card.
Right.
And in a pinch, it can go down to Recurring Nightmare and then get reanimated by Sun Titan.
So the rest of your deck seems to be like card advantage, digging, some removal, like disruption kind of stuff.
Yeah, like the rest of it is kind of like a half-ass control shell. And I'm not certain exactly how that wants to play. Because Reanimator is heavily invested. Like, normally Control just wants to naturally cast one of these fatties.
Yeah.
Right? Drag the game out and cast it. Whereas I've invested a lot into playing them on turn 2 or 3. Which means that I have fewer cards available to play the control game.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think ultimately means that I should be playing a much tempo-ier game. Where this winds up playing a bit like Delver, where you resolve an early threat and then protect it.
Only the early threat in this case is
Grizzlebrand. Yeah. So you don't have to protect it for as long, but
you
you've
still do.
had to invest much more into generating that threat.
Well, yeah, you're way more all in.
Yeah, like, whereas a Sorensen style deck would want to play like Tarmogoyf, or Delver of Secrets,
Yeah, or like any of the Miracle
Quirion
Grove.
Dryads.
Yeah.
I've
You just have a big old fatty.
I've invested
want it.
3 cards into generating a fatty.
It's good.
So I'm wondering if I should actually, like, my counterspell suite is Rights of Refusal, Forbid, Cryptic, Mana Leak,
Yep.
Mental Misstep, Negate, Dispel, Counterspell, Spell Pierce, Spell Snare.
Those are all really good ones.
I don't have a Force of Will, unfortunately.
Yeah, like this deck really wants
It
that,
desperately needs a Force of Will,
but
because it goes shields down a lot.
yeah. Well,
Like, it needs to go ham to get its threat out early, which means that you don't generally have the mana available to protect it immediately.
I'm a little surprised to not see Days in that list.
Days only spikes mana.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you are playing this early game kind of thing, it might be that like you want to play the cheap and or free counter spells to just stop removal.
It's true. The problem is that the removal I'm afraid of are things like Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile.
Yeah, which is, well, you've got Mental Misstep, at
Yep.
least.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the Counterspell suite could use a little fine-tuning. Then I have a Disruption suite of Inquisition of Kozilek, Thoughtseize, Duress, Hymn to Turak, and Shadow of Doubt.
Yep. That's your disruption right there.
Yep. I wish there were way more of these. I'm wondering if I would want to
play
play
Mind
Cabal
Twist.
Therapy, Mind Twist.
Cabal Therapy's so weird, though.
Yeah, like it
because-
needs creatures.
Well, not only does it need... Cabal Therapy in Highlander especially is a really strange card because
You
it's only
have
good...
to know it's there.
Well, A, it's only good if you have creatures to flash it back, and B, it's only good if you play a million other hand attack spells, so you peek their hand.
Yeah.
Or you just get the turn 1 soul read like I do sometimes.
Yeah, where you're
and are a
like
complete sack.
Cabal Therapy naming Palincron.
And they just give you this look like, are you cheating? I did that once. It feels really good.
What was the other one you hit with?
Oh, I don't remember.
Was it just like Electrolyze or something?
I think it was, I think I hit Electrolyze with this. It was like against blue-red, and I just like cast this blind with no information, like, Electrolyze. And he's like, really? I was like, yes! I am the greatest wizard!
The crowd goes wild. Then
Mission status sick.
I also have a removal suite of Far and Away,
Oh, yeah.
Utter End, which is not Vindicate, is really not Vindicate.
But you could be playing Anguish Making now.
Yeah, which also is not Vindicate.
It gets rid of most of the things that you care about.
Yeah, but it doesn't hit lands.
Wasteland?
Yeah.
Well, what else you got?
Wrath of God, Supreme Verdict, Mortify, which is also not Vindicate, D-Sphere, which is quite good,
Oh, yeah.
Oblivion Ring, Sickening Dreams, Drown in Sorrow,
Yep.
Dismember, and Languish, which is really also not Damnation.
It's not Damnation, but Languish sometimes has an advantage over Damnation.
Exactly. It
In
can-
Reanimator, because you can Wrath through your guy.
Yep.
They'll live. They won't.
Yep.
And then you just smash.
Yeah, like I think if you Languish with hey you
having-
guys
Oh.
with what is the card's name?
There's
Massacre Worm on the board.
Oh,
You
that
feel
feels
real
bad.
good. You
But
feel
like,
real
yeah,
good.
anything with more than 4 toughness that can survive Wrath is good.
Yeah.
And then 36, 38 lands?
I think I'm running 36 right now.
That's probably right.
Yeah, so I'm running the Temples in Esper colors, the Check lands in Esper colors. I just realized right now that I don't have a Cave of Koilos, but I am running the other 2 Pain lands in my
Riggedy
colors.
wrecked.
The Battle lands in Esper colors. Shock lands in Esper colors. I have 5 of the 9 fetches in my colors.
Yeah, you have all the cons. Oh, no, you've got a Misty.
Yeah, I've got a Misty. I've got the 4 relevant cons ones. Heath, Delta, Strand, and Mire, and then a Misty Rainforest. I still need to get, like, a Tarn. And I
Ooh,
need...
is the rest of that basics?
Yeah, the rest
like
is
it.
basics.
I actually like it.
Because I do not want to lose to Back to Basics, or
Blood
Blood
Moon.
Moon,
Or Magus of the Moon.
or Magus of the Moon,
Yeah.
or even things like Back to Basics. Or not Back to Basics, Price of Progress.
Yeah, price hurts.
Yeah, and
lot.
to be perfectly honest,
Right in the
like
face.
this is a blue-black deck.
Just a little.
Splashing white, basically for Unburial Rights.
Yeah.
So I'm running 3 plains, 6 swamps, and 5 islands. Then I've also got an Urborg, because
is a
sometimes I
super
feel
swamp.
like losing to, things with Swamp Walk.
It's not often that
Yeah.
things have Swamp Walk, but okay.
Ghost Quarter, because I can't afford a Wasteland.
yeah.
And sometimes you just need to blow up a Maze of Death.
Yep.
And Cephalid Coliseum,
Hey!
because I don't understand that this isn't Dredge.
Well, no, it's still good. This
I mean,
card's
it's still good. If you've got a reanimator target in your hand, and you're pretty sure your opponent's on counter magic,
I mean,
then
this is
Coliseum
also-
will get you there.
This is also, I can't afford Bazaar of Baghdad,
Yeah.
like Surge.
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't
Not
even
everyone
play
can
it in
search.
Reanimator? He just plays it in lands.
What a guy.
What a guy.
Him and his Italian tabernacle, too.
Ugh, Tabernacle. That stupid card can go to hell.
So that's my Reanimator deck. And like I said, it is very straightforward right now. I like playing eight ofs, so I've gone for a very consistent list here that can find its solutions naturally, even if it whiffs on its dig. So I really like the option of just being able to like naturally open up a hand with a target and a Reanimator spell and a discard outlet. And it's a bit boring to play, to be honest.
Well, I mean,
It's consistent, but it always kind of does the same thing.
what would you play if you could play anything and money was no object?
Storm.
Yeah, it's
Storm.
quite a pickle.
I love playing I love playing 10 cards in a turn. I love thinking about my lines and cracking the odds of what I need to draw into and then going for it.
It's an exciting deck.
I
not
think
the cheapest one, but
No, well, your points in Highlander Storm are Demonic Tutor, which is like $20, depending on version.
yeah, you can get one for like 10.
Yeah, like you can probably find a beat-up one for quite a bit cheaper than that, even. And Lotus.
Oh, that one. That old chestnut.
Up storm count by 1.
So Lotus, which is your good copy of Lion's Eye Diamond.
Yeah.
And then the list goes on. And it's also like 5-color almost.
Yeah.
At least 4-color.
Yeah. And a lot of the time it actually just does nothing.
Well, sometimes you'll just brick.
Yeah. Like you
Other
like,
times you'll just one-shot them.
Yeah, Highlander Storm is either the best storm deck that has ever been assembled,
Yeah.
or does stone nothing.
Yep. It's a pretty wild deck.
Yeah.
I mean, my interaction with it is to figure out how to make it not kill me.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of answers for it, but it's a scary deck.
It definitely is. But that's my Reanimator deck. I enjoy it. I like it. I think it...
Oops.
I'll work on it
All right.
and see where it goes.
Cool.
So I realized that we were going to say that you were also going to get to do a deck tech as
Do we
well.
have- how
but
much
we're,
time do we
We're
have?
at 50 minutes.
Can I do a
And-
deck tech in 8 minutes? Probably.
All right.
Well, let's give it a shot.
Okay.
So I put Mardu midrange back together,
Okay.
and I'm going to summarize the deck with the first card that I'm going to show, Martyr Charm.
Ooh, I like this one a lot.
It's a modal card that has everything my deck wants to do. It is removal, threats, and disruption. Which is, this is like, so it's a mid-range, I mean, a mid-range deck in some ways is just kind of like a brisk-paced control deck.
Yeah.
And so what this deck wants to do is play a metric ass ton of removal to just blow up anything they cast, play as much disruption as I can to keep them. Because I tried doing one build where I tried to simulate the card advantage that other decks were able to do, like by playing cards that in red and black that sort of draw me more.
Right.
And then I realized that it's like, that's not really playing to the strengths of the deck. And it's
No.
trying to copy something that I can't.
Because when I hear Mardu midrange, I think cards like Blightning and, Martyr Charm is one of them. But I just imagine a deck that's raining 2-for-1s on me
That is
mercilessly.
exactly what it does. It just plays
Like
as,
mono
as
2-for-1s.
high value cards to try and 2-for-1 as hard as possible, because it's not, these aren't colors that are famous for being able to generate card advantage, so it just has to play the highest power, highest impact cards imaginable. So
Well, and if every one of your cards is doubling its impact.
it's like having card advantage.
Yeah, it's virtual card advantage.
Yeah, so I'm going to quickly go through a couple of the different suites that I did have the foresight to separate. So our Disruption suite goes Duress, Inquisition, Thoughtseize, Tide Hollow Sculler, Sin Collector, Mind Twist, Hymn to Turak, Gerard's Verdict, Lightning, and then stuff like Aven Mind Sensor, and then maybe my favorite card in this deck, Hide Seek, which I'm actually just going to explain because nobody else plays this card. It's a split card from Dissension.
Yeah, that does look like Dissension.
It has 2 modes. One is red-white instant. Put target artifact or enchantment on the bottom of its owner's library. which is really great because it's like exiling something. So if they
Right.
have like Worm Coil or something, it's just like, get out of here. They don't get benefit out of it.
By
so that's
Pattern of
useful.
Rebirth.
And then the second mode is pretty great for hosing really niche strategies. It's called Seek.
Right.
So black-white, also an instant. Search your opponent's library for a card and remove it from the game. You gain life equal to its converted mana cost.
Ugh.
So it's basically extract. So if I cast this against a Storm player and like, Tendrils,
Yeah.
they can't win.
No.
You can do it against like various kinds of combo. This would hose Pattern Rector very well because you just get Protean Hulk. Sometimes you just cast this to gain like 6 life off of their fatty. But it's a weird card, and it being attached to something that's a lot more generally useful
Yeah.
makes it easier to play because some
Yeah, exactly. Like
players-
sometimes you want to extract Craterhoof, and sometimes you're just like, no, this Worm Coil is really inconvenient right
like
now. It needs
extract
to
is
go
sometimes
away.
just like in certain matchups. So these are all cards meant to sort of like mess with my opponent. Martyr Charm is sort of in that category, but it straddles a bunch of them. And then we have removal.
Yeah. Picks up 30 cards.
Guess what these colors do really well. Guess what these colors do very well.
Let's hear it.
Okay, let's go. Crackling Doom. Nahiri the Harbinger. She's removal, right?
Basically.
A Johnny Vengeant, Chandra Pyromaster, Chain Lightning, Lightning Bolt, Liliana the Veil, Fork Bolt, Colligan's Command, Grim Lavamancer, Lightning Helix, my boy Zealous Persecution,
True name what?
blowing them out
True name what?
day and night. Well, we play a million of these.
Yeah.
Incinerate, Searing Spear, Arc Trail, Swords of Plowshares, Path Exile, Anguished Unmaking, Lightning Strike, a pet card of mine, Tarmogoyf. It's really good,
Tarmogoyf?
but so, did I say Tarmogoyf?
You did.
I must be losing
Shriek
my
Maw
mind.
was right in front of her.
It was
Right in front of you.
my eyes. I called it Tarmogoyf.
You called it Tarmogoyf right to its
It's
face.
Shriek Maw. I'm sorry. You killed Tarmogoyf, and you walk right past Tarmogoyf too because you have fear. Good old-fashioned Vindicate, Terminate. This one that I'm testing out from Commander.
Oh.
Sudden Demise. It's an Earthquake that only hits one color that you pick.
Oh.
So your opponents.
Yeah. FTK.
OG Classic, Flame Tongue Kavu, Dreadbore, and last but not least, Fire
Covenant. Which I have seen becoming a favorite in many people's lists in
Very
Highlander.
good. It's like really clutch Highlander secret tech because it's just this weird Ice Age card that just flew under everybody's radar for years, and then somebody found it and was like, "Oh, I pay X life and divide that as I choose among any number of creatures. Sure, I'll wrath your board
Yeah.
for a bunch of life."
Or maybe I'll hit my Boros Reckoner.
I used to play that combo, but I cut him, which is
Yeah. Well,
which-
it's cute.
it's cute, but it's probably not good.
Yeah.
So then the last sort of section is threats, and this is like a kind of a vague area. But just before I do that, there's a couple of like kind of miscellaneous cards. Excuse me, because I play Sensei's Divining Top because it's really good. This could probably just be another removal spell or threat. Dark Confidant, same kind of thing. Like this,
Your
he's
deck curves out at what, like 4?
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't play any Delph spells, so it's probably fine. Tainted Pact, it's kind of like Black Impulse
Yeah.
if you build your deck to have no non-basics, and then just like DT to find silver bullets, just like any answer I
I
want.
love the art on Tainted Pact so
Real
much.
good. It's real good. Actually, DT brings me to my points list
Right.
because we missed one earlier. My points are Demonic Tutor,
Mind Twist.
Mind Twist, and then I think the rest is here
Okay.
with Stoneforge Mystic and her equipment package of Umezawa's Jite, Sword of Fire and Ice, and Batterskull. So those sort of go together.
Yep.
So these are all, generally speaking, just threats. It's like stuff I win the game with, although they as well dip into the areas of like removal or disruption. So we've got
Right.
Restoration Angel, Soulfire Grandmaster, Young Pyromancer, Vulcanwrath Aristocrat, 4-drop Chad, Gideon
Gideon
Allies
Allies
Zendikar, Vampire Nighthawk, Goblin Rabble Master, Brimaz, Archangel Avacyn, Butcher of the Horde.
I love that card so
Very
much.
good. Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, Deathrite Shaman, Seeker of the Way, which is surprising.
Yeah, this seems out of place in that Hall of Fame of...
It's probably not as good in this deck, but Jeskai midrange plays this with all its millions of spells.
Yep.
So this guy's probably cuttable from this list, but Elspeth.
Good Elspeth, I'm guessing. 4-mana Elspeth?
4-mana Elspeth. Gurmag Angler, Big Fish, Lingering Souls, Monastery Mentor, and Mirren Crusader, which is really good.
Yeah, kills Goyf.
Oh, it kills everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't kill Goyf, it doesn't give a shit about Goyf, it just walks right past it.
Well, yeah, and then, blocks it, and...
Like, you ever want to see Ben Wheeler throw up, cast this against him?
Yeah.
Just, see his throat bulge?
Yeah, you're playing your own equivalent of...
True Name.
True Name and Sphinx of the Steel Wind.
Yep.
In Mirren Crusader.
Mirren Crusader is, the cheapest True Name there is. There's a couple other ones, there's a green one that's, Great Sable Stag is a little bit like True Name. Yeah.
Green True Name Nemesis.
So, mana base is what you would expect. It's similar to yours, only in Mardu colors. I have a couple of creature lands. Shambling Vent, Spires is in here somewhere. Where is it? Needle Spires. Yeah, there we go. So, Shambling Vent, Needle Spires. I don't play Lava Claw Reaches because I don't think it's good.
No.
Which is a shame. And also the deck is primarily white and black based.
Yeah.
Splashing red.
Yeah, so the fire breathing is...
So it's... Well, no, it activates for colors. But
does it?
Yeah. So it's probably fine, but...
But it's not of the same caliber as the other cards.
Yeah. Tectonic Edge, Wasteland for dealing with various garbage.
Yep. The modern and legacy LD cards of choice.
Surprisingly powerful Caracas.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had this against...
I don't like this card.
My opponent played...
I don't like this card at all.
Yeah, it's very good.
Grizzlebrand, Caracas. Shit.
Although I've goozled myself with this, they went Dragon Lord of Tarka. I was like, oh sweet, I'll just crit. Oh wait, every time you cast it. Whoops.
Well, I guess taking 5 is better than taking 8.
It's not. They blew up my whole board.
Oh.
Every turn, just wrath my board. Don't Caracas their Atarka. Just take it. It's not worth it. Just open wide and take your medicine. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to play because you just sort of you try to prevent them from doing what they're doing a little bit. You blow up stuff that they do manage to do. And then you just get in with very, very efficient threats. Yep. And
so those are what we're currently on in Highlander. We will be writing up the list and posting them to Tapped Out, I believe. And you should be able to find the links directly beneath our faces in the comment or in the video description.
Beneath our chins.
So thank you very much for joining us this week on TapTapConcede. As always, this podcast is brought to you by you, the viewers.
You did this.
Support us on our Patreon at www.patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. Thank you very much. And we'll be back next week with more Magic Talks on TapTapConcede. Bye.
Bye-bye.